Welcome to the Life on Purpose podcast, conversations that explore holistic health, intentional living, learning, and growing. I'm your host, Brandy Eilert. All right, welcome back to the Life on Purpose podcast. Today, I have special guest Courtnie Nichols, who is CEO and founder of Travel Bash and wife to Coach Darris Nichols. We're continuing kind of this stream of episodes with the coaching life, right? The coaching families, coaches' wives, etc. But also, I don't know that you quite really like that title as much as you like the one that you've created for yourself.
Yes, I agree. I've fallen into it. I'm fine with it now, but if you probably would ask me that 5 years ago, I would have rolled my eyes or like I had this negative connotation of like what coach's wife, like what that means.
No, I know that, which is why I did that intro.
I had to do some work around that. I had to do some work around that, reprogram, retrain.
100%. You and I go way back with our husbands working together. Over a decade ago now, probably. I remember vividly sitting in my living room. I had started my business. I was a family photographer for 13 years. And you and I were sitting in the living room. Maybe you remember this, maybe you don't. Josh and I had really little kids, and we were talking about business, starting a business. And I think you were early in the process of trying to figure out what it is that you wanted to create. And I remember that you had said to me, I want to create something based on something I really love. And that was kind of your goal back then. And so I guess for me, watching you do that over, the last 10 years, I know the business is you started it, 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
Correct. Yes.
Watching your process though, all the while kind of being wherever Darris was going and creating his dream has been pretty inspiring to me. So it's been really great. And the reason I brought you on is you wrote this article on LinkedIn. It says what being married to a college basketball coach has taught me about business. And it was amazing. It was amazing. So this is where I want to start. I want you to kind of tell me about, creating this business also while your husband being in coaching. Like, how difficult was that? Because really, when you're married to a coach, stability is not always guaranteed.
That is true. So I would say it's not as hard as I would want to make it out to be, but there's some nuances. So like, for instance, sometimes I think Darris thinks that I just sit at home and like twiddle my thumbs. To be honest, like I don't think he quite understands like what it is I do all day, or like, it's like you talk about travel, you didn't like he sees certain things, he's like, oh yeah, she is running a business. Or like, I just think that because I'm at home, and so it's not the traditional where he sees me go to work and I do this and like get paid, like it's a different type of concept, which would probably be different for anyone, not just a coach. But like, also, I think that Darris has been spoiled because I have been like at his beck and call. Like, if he calls me or texts me or asks me to do something, we always have conversations that like I stop everything and move. And so sometimes he doesn't always reciprocate that, like, hey, I need to stop everything. So like now that I've started a business, it's kind of like he'll call, hey, I'm on the call, or, I'm not going to be in town, or my husband doesn't cook. That doesn't mean he won't eat, but like I enjoy cooking most of the time when we're home, that I'm cooking dinner through the week. So if I'm traveling, then the good thing now is we live close to his parents. So they're like, oh, you must be out of town. Darris came and ate up all the food. Like he can go to his parents' house. But he also knows how to order food too, not necessarily the best food. So it's more like he has been left to fend for himself. But I will also say, because I have a husband that I don't want to call him workaholic, but like we know the demands of what the hours look like that coaches put in, that it actually has been a plus because I don't have to worry about like stopping, picking up children. We don't have kids. I'm not like the oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to make sure such and such. I'm like, I know he's not coming home till like this. So I'm like, whether I start at 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. or even if I start at 6 p.m. because I know he has other things, it's allowed me to pour more into my business and not feel
Right.
guilty. Because it's not like, oh, my husband needs me or like,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm not spending time. I'm like, he's not even here, like,
Yeah.
so I've been able to kind of give my business that attention that probably some people wouldn't because they have other responsibilities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because every family coaching couple is different in the sense that um, some do want to operate in that, stay home, take care of the home, take care of the kids because their job is so insanely like all over the place,
Right.
etc. And then you've kind of taken this different route of, you know what, I'm going to create something for myself because I do have the space to do that because of what he does.
Exactly.
Um, and it probably, like you said, is a little bit beneficial in the sense that you do have that space because he's not around a lot,
Right.
especially during
So,
certain
like,
times of the
want to jump?
year.
Yeah, it literally could be a Friday night with a glass of wine. I'm sitting here at my desk. I know people are out here like having the best time of their life, but I'm like, no, I
Mm.
got to get some work done.
Sure.
Like I don't work in a silo of like I don't have a regular 9 to 5, which is
Right.
great because then I can dedicate. Oh, I know this time and I can be done because then I can go to the games or I'm going to be out of town or we're traveling here. That I can kind of have built a schedule or a system or created this life around what was important to me. And so when I had a job before, I didn't necessarily have the flexibility. And I think that
Yeah.
people think, oh, when your husband gets these jobs, that automatically the wife is getting a job. And no, everywhere we moved, I've had to find a new job
Hmm.
on my own. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh, the customer wife, oh, we got to make sure we can hook her up or find her something.
Right.
No. So,
Right. And
that
I think that it's, and I know I felt this way too when I created my business is it, that I've since moved on from. I was, like I said, a family photographer for 13 years, but flexibility was always important in the sense that I wanted to create something of my own, but have the flexibility to travel or be there for the kids when they got home from school or up and leave if that's, if that was something that was going to happen in our path. So I think, again, watching what you've created and that flexibility, um, I think is important for a lot of us, right?
Mhm.
To be able to have something of our own. But to still have the life that we still want to see our husbands and travel
Yeah.
every once in a while and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about what specifically it is that you do, and then I want to get into this article that you wrote.
Yeah. So I actually have two sides of my business. Travel Bash. It's a travel concierge for couples planning destination weddings outside the country, and then I have a high-end luxury travel boutique where I take clients on retainer and plan multiple trips throughout the year. And I just added to my repertoire. So obviously, I'm
Mhm.
not too busy to where I just keep adding stuff. I said
Right.
2025, I'm not adding anything else. But
Yeah.
like, just created the business huddle, which is kind of like a hub for travel advisors looking to grow and scale their businesses. And so I've launched this new event and kind of this community to support other travel industry pros in our field.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. Um, Again, and I think it very much suits you because I remember you telling me a story about what your first flight, like solo flight, you were like 10 years old.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
started traveling very young and on
Yeah.
your own. Um, what was that like? Do you
So
remember
I will say I'm an only child, guys. Okay. Um,
it?
so I do a lot of things. I think it's also helped me being married to a coach like me being the only child because like I don't
Mhm.
need entertainment from others. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those things that I'm an extrovert, so I make friends easily. I'll come up and talk to a stranger, but I'm also fine with having my space and like when it's time to go home, I want to go home. Or like when it's time for me
Yeah.
to be by myself, um, I like to be by myself. Um, okay, I think I missed the question. Look, I'm like I got off in a tangent.
No, like
Okay,
you're solo. Oh, we're talking about
yeah,
traveling
okay,
solo.
so
So, and
back to
being an
me
only child.
flying
Yeah.
solo as a child.
Yeah.
Everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. So I moved to St. Louis, Missouri. That's where I grew up, but I was born in Tennessee. And so I used to always fly home
Yeah.
to my grandparents' house. Um, And so my dad was like, I'm putting you on a flight. I would always touch down in Nashville, which I have family on both my mom and dad's side. So somebody would get me and either drive me to my grandparents in Johnson City, East Tennessee, and or I would catch the flight and someone would just be there as like the watch out person. So when
Mm.
I changed flights and then go to, went to the Tri-Cities, I'd be good. And that's back when they had those small little jumper flights. I'm like, oh my gosh, like crazy. And so literally anything and everything you can think of has happened. I've lost my luggage, which was great in the summertime because my grandma got me all new clothes, but like literally 3 months of
There's
clothes.
always a positive.
Yeah, 3 months of clothes like gone, lost.
Right.
My flight has been delayed. I've gone up in the air and then come back and had maintenance issues. And then my uncle had already left. And I'm crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad's upset with my uncle. Like, why do you? They're like, we thought she was gone. Like, literally anything from delays, from storms to maintenance issues to lost luggage, all of that as a child. So, like, by the
Yeah.
time I was flying, um, in my business, or even like in high school, my dad um, allowed me to go. We were neighbors to the Latin teacher. I took French in high school, but like the Latin teacher was taking a group of kids to Greece and Italy and all that. So in the summertime in high school, I traveled with them, went to Greece and Italy. So by the time I started my business, literally I had already had my second passport. My grandmother, avid traveler, always wanted us to go somewhere. We were always doing things. My cousins, our family, like she wanted to show us things, expose us to the world. So like I was already like, oh, and this is how I pack, this is that, I already have a
Hmm.
passport, I can go through. I remember before you even had to do TSA and all the stuff where you would just walk on. Like I felt like I was a traveling pro before the
Yeah.
age of 21. Like I had already been several places.
Right. Right. Which I think is a good thing. I we have again, family kind of all over the place and are talking about sending our teenagers, kind of either back to see their friends or back to see family on their own. And I don't know if it's maybe like the age that we live in, but people are like, really? You're going to send them, by themselves? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And they
yeah,
have each other. I was by myself.
they would be fine. Well, right, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, they would be totally fine. They've done it enough with us that I have no doubt that they would be totally
They
fine.
will be fine. Plus, the flight attendant and all that, they know when kids are traveling. So, like,
Yeah,
they're going to take them off. They're going to guide. It's not like they're just like, boom, boom. Like, there's a whole process. Like, I
right.
have my little flight thing. Yeah, like, they already know. They're like holding your hand. They're taking you through and all the
Which
things.
would embarrass the heck out of my kids. Okay. Okay. I want to start. I want to go through some of these points that you made in this article that you wrote on LinkedIn. What being married to a college basketball coach has taught me about business. You say it's funny when people say, wow, Darius moved up fast and has had so much success. Yes, he landed his first head coaching job just before his 35th birthday, but that's only part of the story. Behind every milestone are late nights, missed celebrations, and early mornings. There's no such thing as overnight success.
Oh,
Um, and then you go on where there's some bullet points we can go through, but let's talk about in business and in coaching. Can you expand upon that just a little bit? Because I think, a lot of the times these coaches are behind the scenes for years and years and years and years, either in support positions, lower positions. They're not great paying jobs. Oftentimes you're grinding. And I think, I would be lying if I said that, no coach questioned like, what the hell am I doing sometimes, you
yeah.
know? But
Yeah.
when you have a goal um in mind, like there's no quit, right? So
Exactly.
similar to your business, can you expound upon that just a little bit, like what that means for you guys?
Yeah. So, I think that people, again, it's the shiny mirror. We live in a microwave society. We want things now, now, now. And so, I remember, I mean, you got to think, you just said I've known you over a decade. Darius
Yeah.
was a GA, not getting paid anything, trying to learn from Josh some video, didn't know anything about that. Like,
Yeah.
how many years ago was that? I mean, it's 2024. Like,
Gosh, my kids, so they were little, so
Yeah,
12.
Brendan Renner. I remember you mentioned that you were talking about a story and we were talking about business, but you know what I remember?
What?
Brendan, I'm gonna embarrass him. Brendan run down the steps naked after about with this little frog like towel thing around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
he
I'm
was
like,
like a toddler. Yes.
yeah, I said, wild child. I said he's
And
a
that kid
crazy
will
kid.
be 17 in just a few months. Yeah.
Exactly. So
So
like
we've known each
that
other that long. Yeah.
yeah, so it proves my point that like he has been doing the work. He's been planting seeds. He's been
Right.
grinding. So it's just like when you have this book that someone writes and then it's a New York Times
Yeah.
bestseller. That's probably not their first book. This is probably
No.
their 10th. You know,
They
like
have failed 10 times before that.
exactly. I always say like Rachel Hollis was talking about, you guys might just know me the last 2 years, but she had been writing 10 or 15 years. Like, even though I feel like 7 years in business, not that long, but like it's long enough to know some things. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I put in some time, I put in some work. It's the same thing with Darius. Like I always say that you have to be there before your feet are there. So like he literally started his first job after he left West Virginia as a GA at a Division 2
Yeah.
in Northern Kentucky. People don't even know. They think like, oh, he just was an assistant, and they talk about West Virginia, and then they skip over through everything, and then they're like Mike White, Florida, and now he's at Radford, and I'm like, whoa, whoa,
There were
whoa,
a few stops before that.
exactly. I'm like, matter of fact, I mean, Division 2, Northern Kentucky, that the entire Division 1, then from there, Wofford, Louisiana Tech. Like, there's a progression. I mean, obviously, yes, at before 35, I'm like, okay, it seems like, well, that was young, but look when he started his career. He was
Right.
one that when he got out of school, he played for a year or not even full year, and he got hurt. So he jumped right into like his career right
Right.
off the bat, where some
Mhm.
might take a couple of years or they're doing something else and then they get into their career. So like
Yeah.
he had
Well,
put in the
especially in
time.
basketball, like playing overseas for a few years and
Yeah,
then coming back and getting into coaching, there is a lengthy process. Everybody's process is different. And that's something that I don't think people really understand about this business also is that not everybody takes the same path. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get to where you need to be. Um, but the grinding part of it, and I think that's kind of what you guys in particular, you and him separately in your separate ventures, but then together are known for is just the grind,
yeah.
honestly. I
I
mean,
mean,
in our circles anyway.
I always say it. Like there's been so many times like Darius has seen me even when I first started where it's like 1 or 2 a.m. and I'm like just one more and
Mhm.
there's he always says it, even that Courtnie, you don't have to do everything today. Like
Do you
you know,
tell him the same thing?
I'm like, okay, like it's
Okay,
easy,
coach.
it's easy to
Okay,
see other
coach.
people, the doctors are the worst patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you don't, you can come back tomorrow. Like you can finish that later. I know Rome wasn't built in a day, but like shit, if I can get it close to that, then I'm one. I also have a perfectionist tendency that I have issues with that I'm working through. So like I don't just want to put out into the world just anything and then give myself grace and be like, oh, it's fine. Like I want to make sure that like I've gone above and beyond because I am a high achiever and like from my
Yeah.
experience, it goes back to like as a child and like, what it was that like you have to do this and do that and do that. So like it's been ingrained into me. So like
Mhm.
that's why I will do the things. And so also when I said like Miss Celebrations, I know you probably heard it many times. Like, oh, where's Josh? Everyone's like, where's Darius? Like, you know, people invite you to all these things. And I try to show up for friends and family as much as I can. But most of the
Yeah.
time I will come probably solo because he's not gonna come.
Right.
Or he can't come, or he's doing
Mhm.
so like people don't think about it. They're like, oh, he just chose not to, but like that's the sacrifice. And so when you see the
Right.
success, you also have to call out, hey, while we were all partying or hanging out, having a drink at the wine bar, Darius was like in his office watching another 100 hours of film. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like, go figure. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. It's just what you choose to do with them.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting you say that. We had some some friends come visit just over the weekend, so for a long weekend. Um and there were periods during, that stretch where Josh would come home from work and, they were here to see us and to go to a game, but all the while knowing that he was still going to have to grind it out. So even while he's still in the same room as us, when he gets home he's sitting in his recliner with the computer watching film. And probably also with another game on the TV. So you got like two going
Yeah,
on
a lot of things
and
going
trying
on.
to have like a side conversation. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't ever stop. You try to balance that as much as you possibly can, but it's not, it doesn't always look pretty at all.
No, but I will say the one thing me and Darius have both like kind of agreed that when you come in the house, you're not on your phone.
Yeah.
Hear him, and then as long as both of us are here, we're gonna eat dinner together.
Yeah.
So like,
And I will
there's
say
certain,
that's
like
Josh is really good at that as well, and trying to at least push the film part of it or the work part of it until after at least our littlest guy goes to bed. So, Teddy's gone and he's trying to, unless, I mean, you go through these periods during the season where it's just like games back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And sometimes it's not always possible when you're trying to keep up, but you do the best that you can. But you're right, it's not a typical life and it's not a typical job, and you try to manage juggle all the balls the best that you can and as gracefully as you possibly can. And like you said, with you and kind of the type A personality that you talk about in this article, how do you kind of maintain that stress? Like how do you personally manage it, let alone
so.
him?
Yeah, I had to let go. So me and God have gotten so close. Like he probably is on this call, like, oh, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of my child. Like, look at her, look at growth. Because I would try to control every little thing, and like it's not possible. And so when I stopped trying to control everything and letting go, and just like this is what it is, and like kind of surrender, and like when we're playing it, and like okay, taking these expectations off of him. Like we I feel like we marry our husbands, we want to spend time with them, and we think we understand their job in the role. Even as you go further and further into it in a career, and like they're human, they're people, they're individuals too, and they're doing the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
So giving them grace, giving yourself grace, and like again, it goes back to like what we thought marriage is supposed to be, or what we thought a happy family looks like, or what we thought this was going to be. Like we have to create that ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It can't. It's not going to be the Hallmark movie. It's not going to be like our other coach friends. It's not going to be like It's something that we have to come up with together, and knowing that this is okay. Like if that means 30 minutes in the morning, I have to get up and we do a coffee date just so we can connect. Then
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
does that mean if we have to drive separate cars and then meet somewhere? Like those are just things that before I'm like, that's so weird. Or like, I would be like, well, he doesn't love me, or he would do that. Like,
Yeah.
all these mindset things, like all these things that would play in my mind that had nothing to do with the situation, that were not true. They were not false. But also, I'm human too, and I'm a person. So it's kind of like you have to work through that. So when I started taking those expectations off of him,
Yeah.
and like getting really comfortable sitting in, it's not like he's gonna quit or change. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is, kind of. So like, what embrace it instead of coming home and talking about, oh, you haven't been home or this. How about enjoying the time with him? Like
Sure.
he's literally told me that before. Like, hey, I understand that I haven't had that time, but like, I don't want to come home and then you're like, you're never home, and you did it. Like, how about I'm
He
home
walks in the
now?
door and
Let's
you're
just
like yelling at
watch
him.
a movie. Let's do something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, duh, that does kind of make sense. And then
Sure.
move forward. But I will say, like, my faith, like, again, me and God have several conversations throughout the day about everything. So, like, I don't try to control it. I don't really get too stressed. I think it's more of like when I have to, I'll give you an example right now. So for Christmas, now that we live in Radford, um, and we're by his parents. Before, when we had never lived around family, so we would either trade, like go to St. Louis, come to Radford, and or like we've been to Jamaica for Christmas. We've been different places for Christmas, and so like when my husband says like, "Oh, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do it," and I'm like, now, Darius, did you get the flights? Or like, are we really doing, like, so that kind of gets me, because like, I don't feel like it's almost like putting your team in the best position to be successful,
Right.
or, put them in the right seat. So when he tries to like, I always say, get out of position, I know that he might think he's helping or doing something, but I'm like, no, babe, that's not your strong suit. So like, that's the one thing where it's not that I get stressed, but I'm like, oh shoot. Like if he starts talking about planning something or he has these ideas, I'm like, we not going. Like, I'll tell people like, well, Dare says this, but like, it's 2 weeks before he doesn't have ticket. Like, I just like, yeah, we'll see. I'll ask him again next week. And he's like, oh, something. I'm like, duh. Shit.
So
Like,
what you're saying is you should both kind of stick to what you're good at
yeah, yeah.
and
So
not
even
try to
though
stray
I
too
don't
much from it.
correct, even though we don't have kids, like I am the person of the household. Like if you want bills paid, lights cut on, like if
Yeah.
you want to talk to him about investments, like don't talk to him, come to me. Like he's gonna say, you gotta talk to my wife. Like I said, Darius, is something happened to me? He's like, it's in the file cabinet. Everything's in the file cabinet. I'm like, okay. I was like, so this, I'm just gonna go and
Wait, do you have a if I die binder?
literally like
Okay.
everything's in the file. From the insurance to like how to pay the phone, but like every little thing, like Darius doesn't do anything with household besides take the trash out to the dumpster. Like, yeah.
And Coach Ball.
And Coach Bob. Yeah.
Coaches ball and takes the trash out. What more
Yeah.
can you want?
Yeah. I don't really say, even though I keep asking him to do stuff, and he's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I got to send him a note, text, and an email to both Bradford and his personal and be like, hey, don't forget this. And then he'll walk in and be like, oh, I
Yeah, I mean, they got all that stuff floating around in their heads, X's and O's and CEO stuff, personnel stuff.
forgot.
All right, let's go through some bullet points here. Um, let's see. Okay, so you start this article as I approach my 38th birthday in December, which is coming up. Happy birthday early. Here's what I'm learning. Hard work doesn't guarantee success, is the first thing that you say. Just as in business, not every idea hits. Success is earned, but sometimes it doesn't appear on your timeline. This has been a tough lesson as a type A personality, and it's allowed me to flow more naturally with my vision.
Yeah. I
Uh,
see this. So, oh, do you want me to comment or you want
yeah,
to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
going?
No,
Yeah.
expound
So
upon
the
it.
reason why I see this is because sometimes the hours you put in are not gonna like. I know I understand the concept of you reap what you sow and you plant the seeds and it'll come to fruition. But the thing is, I mean, life. Sometimes just life. I mean, especially in coaching, sometimes you just things have to add up and you just got to get lucky. You can put in all the work, have the best roster, and somebody gets hurt, and there goes your season. So it doesn't mean you don't necessarily, you're not working hard, you're not grinding. It's just like it's not
Sometimes,
your
what
time.
does Josh call it? The magic. Sometimes you just like there's just the magic, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, you never stop grinding, but sometimes like you just gotta hit like that magic, and sometimes, like you said, injuries or just a windfall of really crappy events, and there it goes. It doesn't matter often like how hard you're grinding, how much you're working. There's a lot of things in business, life, and basketball that you cannot control.
I launched a curated trip. No one signed up. I worked so hard. I put the thing together like, oh, this is a page. I think people will like this. Spent all this money for like, oh, let's, get these email campaigns. Let's launch this. I'll put the series together and all that. And it just didn't, bam.
Yeah.
And I could go in my little hole and cry and be sad. And like, nobody wants this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could restructure, or I could go back and see, okay, what have I learned from this? Did I even market? Did I give myself a runway? Why didn't it? Is it the wrong destination? Is it the wrong time of year? Is it the wrong pricing? Do I have the wrong client? There's so many things that you can take in consideration. So that's why I was like, that had to be the number one thing, is because people automatically assume if you're going to work hard, then you're automatically guaranteed success. I felt like that's what they taught you in school too, which is so wrong. There's people that
Right.
don't work hard at all and they're very successful, and there are people that work hard and
It
they
doesn't
see
hit. The
something
magic's not
and it
there.
just isn't there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Point number two, growth is constant. Building a business and becoming a leader means you're always learning. Every experience shapes you into who you want to become. So that kind of goes to like the lessons you learn along the way. Um, in business and basketball, oftentimes you're in multiple different positions, right? And you're taking a little piece of I don't know, knowledge everywhere you go. Um, and again, that kind of goes to some of it's going to work, some of it's not, but you kind of take what fits and kind of shed everything else. Um, so I mean, you're constantly growing, changing, tweaking, um,
Exactly.
etc. I mean, you wrote in here Darius's first season as a head coach, he only won 11 games. What was that like?
So the
And
crazy thing,
what did you both learn about the
so
process?
the crazy thing here is at Radford, 11 games, he actually tied for the most wins for a first time head coach. So like they're like, Darius, you're doing great. But
Yeah.
like the high achiever
But for
that
him,
Darius,
it wasn't good enough.
oh, it was a failure. Like he was like, he's not good at this. And I was kind of like, you have the wrong guy. Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those things that like I didn't read too much into it because I'm like, it's your first season. One, you got hired right after COVID. You didn't see anybody because you didn't go on the road. You're in a new role. You just came from a high major with tons of money as an assistant at Florida to go come in. So you're navigating. Just think about all things he's navigating. You're coming back to Radford, where
Mhm.
you're from, meaning
Right.
family, friends, like pressures.
Right.
People are like going to
You're
be
known,
pulling
they're
on you because
excited.
they know you. Right, right. You've never been in this position, so you don't know. Now you're in a position that's different, but also very different now after COVID.
Right.
Smaller school with less resources. On top of that, they're talking about NIL, transfer report. Like you took a role when, so it's not just one change. There were so many different.
There was a snowball effect during that period
Correct,
in sports in college sports across the board. And
correct.
so yeah,
I mean, you took. I mean, like I don't want to tell them like the odds were stacked against you, but did you come in here and think you were going to have a 20-win season? I
yeah,
mean, I
he
don't know
did.
if I
Of course
expected
he
him to
did.
only win 11, but I didn't expect him like come in. To me, it was I didn't look at it as a failure. I looked at it as something you could build on. For him, like he
Yeah.
was like, "Girl, shut up!" Like he didn't
Hmm.
want to hear anything I had to say. So I got
Right,
it.
because I
I
don't
get it.
think failure is something that it's not easily accepted for coaches in general. Like that word failure, like how do you even define it in this business in the way that it operates at the moment? Um,
So that's a good that's a good topic to dive deep into. But I also say I think some of the things that we have struggled with here in Radford has been great for Darius because if you look at Darius's career and you look at Darius from player at West Virginia, top five winningest Mountaineer in school history, to then going to play in Hungary, even though he gets hurt, they go 10-1, win the
mhm,
Hungarian Cup,
mhm.
to then GA and all. Darius had never lost. He had won everywhere he went, from a player to a professional player, back at West Virginia, Wofford, which you can't say, oh, it was a small school. He went to the tournament as a small school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Louisiana Tech to then going to Florida, went to the Elite Eight in his second year, and now he's coming to Radford. So, like, if you've never experienced it, you don't know how to deal with it. So it's almost good that it happened because, like, now to me, this is where you sink or swim. This is going to show me what you're really made of at this point. Does that make sense?
A
Like,
100%. I mean, 100%. Because there are so many lessons in quote unquote failure. And I think it also depends on how you define that word. Um, it's often kind of imposed upon yourself or imposed upon you given
yeah,
what the specific situation is, um but again, you figure out and find out what you're made of in those kind of moments, in those situations where you may see yourself or this season or your business or whatever the situation is, like, this is a failure. Now what? Now
right.
what am I going to do?
And I
How am
think
I
that's
going to
the
bounce back from this? How am I going to deal with this? Am I going to, curl up in a ball and say, all right, I wasn't cut out for this? Or are you going to just keep going and tweak some things and learn some freaking lessons along the way?
and I believe that that's kind of the biggest thing I've taken from it to become who I want to be. There's there's things that I have to learn. And so I don't beat myself up for not knowing it at the time, but now that I do have that information, how do I use it moving forward? Because like where I'm going or where I'm headed and where I'm at are two different places. So like what can get me to that place? There's got to be knowledge. Meaning I have to grow as a person. What I'm listening to, what my thoughts are. A lot of this is your mindset,
Right.
the beliefs about yourself. So like to me
Because we
as a
lie to
business owner,
ourselves a lot.
yeah, as a business owner, that has been the biggest thing, the growth in mindset,
Mhm.
specifically on what it takes to be a six-figure earner, a seven-figure earner. What does it take to be a person that has a team that can lead this and not just the doer or the executor, that I had the CEO mindset. So like all of that kind of played a part when I was sitting down on the plane, by the way, writing this out in my notes app
Right. That's
before,
what you told me.
yeah, putting it to LinkedIn. Yeah.
Right, right. Um, have you have you ever hit that point where you wanted to quit?
Oh, I do. Every other day. And literally, if you got Darcy here, he'd be like, just in this podcast now, Brandy. Like, Courtney is off the chain that she can just sit here and with so much clarity. And it's like, I'm, I don't say I'm always wanting to quit, but like, this is the thing. When you're used to getting a paycheck and when they have trained you to be an employee your whole life, because
Right.
that's literally what the system does
They
is
plug
train
you
you to
into a
work for
system.
someone else.
Yeah.
And this is how you're a good employee. And this is what it'll like. That's a different mindset. On Friday, I don't get paid if I have not done, like
Yeah.
again, 4 dares, win, lose, or draw, he gets paid at the end of the
Mhm.
day. Now, how long he's gonna get paid, how long they're gonna allow him to lose and draw. But like the difference is, even if he puts pressure on himself and everybody else, he still has a paycheck. As a business owner, I don't have that luxury.
Right. Right. And so I'm sure that's where that extra pressure comes in too, I'm sure, with
Yeah.
the grinding and the, all right, we got to tweak because this isn't working. And, the doubt.
Yeah,
I
because
remember when I started my business, oh my Lord. Yeah. I
yeah,
had
because
young
then
kids at home and you're just like, what am I doing? Is this going to work? Am I good? Am I terrible?
Yeah, because then there's certain structures that are put in place. And
Yeah.
so when you're starting a business, you don't have that structure. So there's good things
It's all
that you
on
learn from
you.
corporate or your business that like now I've implemented SOPs and people are like, oh Lord, she's a systems operations snob. Like she always has it. There's certain things that I took and I'm like, it has to happen in order to scale and grow.
Mhm.
But then we take the things we don't like and we get rid of it. But there's gotta be, but those are the things I had to create that. Sometimes you
Right.
go into a role that it's already created, or you have a staff, or you have support, and I just have me. I have to be the marketer, the accountant, the this until I can produce to then hire those people, and then I have to motivate them and hope that they can execute while
Right.
I'm doing the other thing. So there's so many balls in the air when you're a business owner
Right.
that you have to grow. And like I think my third point was like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like you
Exactly. Yep.
can't do all these things in your first year of business or your second year of business, your third. Like if you're constantly growing, then of course it's a marathon. It can't be a sprint because it's not one of those things that you can do right away.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know until you do it.
You wrote it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like wine, great things take time. Just like Coca-Cola, they sold only 25 bottles in their first year.
Yeah. So do
Yeah,
you think they
no.
wanted to quit? I'm like, if I sold 25 bottles of soda in my first year, I'm like, well, maybe nobody likes this.
Maybe
You
I'm
know?
not good at this.
Yeah. I mean, what is this Coke stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you wrote your fourth point, you'll need to put out fires daily. Coaching and business ownership require problem solving on a daily basis. You can't escape it. You just get better at developing solutions, whether it's adapting to new challenges or rethinking an approach that isn't working. Maybe that's throwing out an offense or adapting to a new set of rules. Thanks, NIL and transfer portal. I like that jab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a big one.
I mean, it's a new world. I think everybody's adapting on the fly. If we're going to kind of touch on the coaching part of it, um, I honestly, I have no words for how complicated that situation can get. But yes, I think every coach in the business with the portal and the NIL changes has had to learn how to adapt. Some have not.
Right.
And I think
And
you
so
see kind of
I
this wave of like retirements and people getting out of the business because of it. So similarly, with you and creating your own business, I'm sure along the way you've had to adjust, adapt, throw out processes, you know, put new ones in.
one third of advisors quit after COVID. And more than 50% of advisors had been in the business 30 plus years. So that should tell you something right there.
What
They were like,
happened?
we've seen enough. Like COVID put people over the edge. They were like, and we're retired and we're done. And
Yeah.
people were pissed and people were upset. And they're like, we can't take another. I mean, but before I even was in the industry, people had to adapt. There was no TSA. You didn't get patted down to go. You know, you could just take your
Yeah.
carry on. You could put anything in your bag and walk on. Those advisors then had to adapt, went to then, hey, this is not how we do this anymore.
Right.
Remember,
And
there
I
was a
feel like
thing
travel rules are changing like across the board.
constantly.
Yeah.
I
A
mean,
lot.
the mask, no mask, vaccination, no vaccination. You got to think there's AI now.
And
So
it was
now people
country to
like book
country.
my trip. Yeah, book my trip using AI. Like, how are you integrating AI in your process? There's so many things. Like,
Yeah.
travel advisors used to get paid commissions by airlines in the 80s. I don't know anything about it, but like, you got to think. Look at all the like times in the travel industry you've had to adapt from, you know, the commissions, the airlines, to safety protocols that have happened,
Mhm.
to even around the world and country. And now there's added fees and there's not fees, and you need a tourist visa. You don't need one. You need that. Like, there's constantly something that is popping up. I mean, remember, there was this thing called the internet. It wasn't always there. People used to walk into the little AAA or, you know,
I
your grandma's,
remember. Yeah, like the
you know, travel
storefronts. It was like
advisor,
the travel
look
storefront.
at all your little brochures and be like, I want to go here.
Yeah. It
Then
was like an
online
office full of like palm tree pictures.
exactly. So you've like I feel like my industry is always one you've had to adapt and continue to adapt. And as more technologies come out and things where you have to do more than just book people's trip because they don't need you for that anymore. There's apps, there's loyalty rewards. Like you have to be offering more. So how do you stay ahead of the curve?
Hmm.
What can you do to enhance your service offering? There's all these things, and so I think that's the biggest thing I take from that. Also, like when you have a team, you're putting out fires because people nowadays like my dog died, they don't do their best work today. You know, somebody didn't jump on a call, like what is going on? Like I'm
Hmm.
having to come to Jesus meetings with people that like know what they're doing and been with me for 2 and 3 years. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like all these things but the work. It's kind of like my husband. He's like, I literally do this much basketball and this much everything else. Like
100%. They're
our school
CEOs.
doesn't have football, so they use him for all the speaking engagements. He's fundraising for all the department. You know, he's out here doing academics because you're also at a smaller school where like you got to do a little more. I mean,
You're doing
he's
everything
players
but drive the bus.
right, players, friends, therapists. I
Hmm.
mean, we had 2 kids on the team that had babies. Like you're putting what do we need to do to get you to play great basketball? I
Yeah.
think you have the worst job in America, babe. I'm sorry to tell you, besides probably a truck driver. Like, you have to get 18, 19, 22, 122 year olds to put the ball in the basket. And that's how, you know, your, I guess, success meter goes up or something. You know, like, just
Yeah.
think about what if you were paid or your success relied on Brendan putting the ball in the basket for a whole season. And
It
guess what?
depends on if it was okay, so it'd have to be like 3-point line, like unguarded. That's
See,
about
that's
it.
what I'm saying. And then add life. We're talking about all the things outside of basketball life. These
Yeah.
kids are doing life too.
Yeah.
And they have girlfriends or boyfriends or mama's not in the picture or daddy's in the picture or
Right.
someone thinks they should play more or someone wants money or someone has it, you know, like they have all these things. And then theirs has to jump in and like, hey, let's play team ball. Like this is how you do it. When 20 other people are telling them that don't listen to your coach, this is not how you do it. You need to do like that's why I said,
Yeah.
babe, you gotta have the worst stuff in America. Like people see it as glamorous and like, oh yeah, but like just think about on a daily how many people come over and they're either wanting something, asking for something, like he's pouring into others and no one's pouring into him. And then
Right.
he comes on to me and I'm like, can you take the trash out? Did you do this? Did you do that? Like, y'all don't feel sorry for Deers though. I know I make something like, yeah, that is right. Poor Deers.
You're asking us to. We're going to.
Yeah. Like, but that, I mean, remember, he's a human.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
how we function. So,
Yeah.
like, I think I know I might have just said that, like, no, this is the biggest one, but I think like this probably is the biggest one. Like putting out fires, like managing people is probably one of the hardest jobs. It's kind of like being a parent, the hardest
Yeah.
job you'll ever have. You've
Oh,
taught these kids
100%. I
what to
mean,
do and how to do it, but that doesn't mean they will do it.
oh gosh, no, we're in this weird phase right now. So we have two teenagers and then a first grader. So our phase, we have like two different phases of life going on. So you've got like all this basketball stuff. And then like I've got a teenager who's driving, which, and we made this big cross country move. So they've got all these emotions and kind of all these big changes. And then we've got this dynamic where you've got the little fella who's in, his little phase of life, and then the teenagers who think that he gets everything because he's the baby, but I can't treat him like a teenager. So we've got like, all I do is manage their emotions. That's it, about
All
like
the time.
really big things. It's big
And
to
just
them.
imagine, yeah,
Yeah.
but just imagine if you got
On a
paid off managing their emotions.
right grand
That would
scale
probably be
emotion management.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would wonder if you still have your home. You know what I mean? Like it can fluctuate.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think that's also why I like doing these episodes about all of these things, is because I think people forget about all this life stuff because nobody really talks about all the life stuff behind the scenes. You want stats, you want, all the glamorous stuff to be kind of out there, but we're not talking about like the nitty-gritty, really hard, complicated things you can't control stuff. There are
Exactly.
things you cannot control. Period. End of story. And like you said, you've got players who are fathers, um
Yeah.
who are kind of dealing with these things outside of the court. You've got like in so our roster. So we've got some LDS kids who have come back from their mission trying to integrate into a team. They've been gone for 2 years, or those that you've recruited that are leaving for their mission. So they've got kind of this, bigger life stuff going on. We forget that they're human, the coaches, the players, the spouses, all of this, all of this stuff. And as I think one of my last episodes, there's the difference between being a staff member, a coach, a staff member, a coach's wife, spouse, kid, whatever, than being a fan. You see it differently because you become intensely attached to people, not the colors, not the, you're intensely attached to your team and the people that are on your team, and you want them to succeed so badly. And so you see it just a little bit differently because you're pouring everything you possibly can into them, and you just want it to work. You just want it to work, you know. And so there's like that intense pressure too, of just you're giving it everything you've got, and you just hoping that that spark or that magic is there, and that something clicks.
Yes. Which look, I know this is your podcast, but I feel like everything is going right into play because my sixth one was about passion. So like all this we're talking about is like purpose and passion, to where like
Yeah.
this is why you need this. Because on those
Yeah.
tough days or on, the things we're talking about, if you're not passionate about it, you just walk away. Like, why would you do this?
Well,
It has to
okay, so it looks easy from the outside was your number 5, and that's what we just talked about. Like, you have all these people, oh, I could do that, I could do that
yeah,
better, or I would have done this, or I would have done that. Man, you're not seeing all the other factors going on
definitely.
behind the scenes. Please tell me that
You're
you're
seeing they
joking.
miss 10 free throws in the game. You're like, do they not practice free throws? Like, if it was that easy, of like, if you were the coach, you would have them practicing free throws and they would come out here and make it. Then I mean,
Right. Sure. Purpose and passion are essential. These two things will be what carries you through the tough days and all the criticism. Hello, haters.
yeah,
Um, which brings me to a question that I asked you off air.
yeah,
Um, since I've known you, so again, over a decade, social media has not, you use it for business, to put your business out there. It's not something you personally use too much too often. Um, in this world, that's probably a good thing. Is there a reason, or has just social media not been something you've ever been into?
I've just never been into it. Like, so I was telling you off air, I didn't get social media. I didn't even have a Facebook until 2017 when I started my business. I just didn't need, like, the people that I want to talk to, they have my number, they know how to reach me. Like, I can talk to them, or I'm actually talking to them. I sit down, have lunch and dinner. Like, I'm not talking through a computer. I wasn't raised on social media. I
Mhm.
mean, I know I'm 38, I'm young, I'm probably the only millennial, but like you got to think people weren't doing social media until college. We had a Facebook page, and you had to use your college edu address.
Yep.
And so my whole life, until 20, until I'm 18, 19, I didn't have it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't one of those things that like now kids grow up on and they're starting at 10 and 12 and 13. So like I didn't feel a need for it. And so then after getting off of it when I graduated college, like again, the people that were in my life, they had my phone number, I could
That's all you
talk to
needed.
them.
Yeah.
I just like it just didn't make sense for me to be on there talking to strangers.
Yeah.
And like I understand people like, well, I want to see my grandkids or I want to do this. Like, okay, text. I have a niece. If I want to see a picture of her, I'll text her mom and daddy and say, hey, I ain't seen Julie in a minute. Text me a picture. I don't have to see. I don't utilize Facebook to see my family. Call
Yeah.
them. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. And so I've never been big on it. Again, I understand in business, like it's you got to pick your poison. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have Facebook. But when I am, it's like Courtnie Danielle. It's not even Courtney Nichols, and I'm literally sharing travel stuff. I don't. I might every once in a while my stories like, oh, we won or this or like I posted this article about being married to a basketball coach. So they're like, oh, she is married to Dare Steele or like or whatever. But
Was
like
there
I'm not
ever a
really.
question?
Yeah, I just feel like I don't really. Yeah, I don't like get on there and really care what people think, to be honest. It doesn't phase me at all. And like
Yeah.
I told you off air, like my dad was the first black mayor in the oldest town in Tennessee. Like I grew up in a family that was in the spotlight. My grandfather's an alderman. Like I've been in a well-known family. So like I have thick skin. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm self-aware. And it doesn't bother me,
Yeah.
things that people say. Um,
Well, and that's why I was asking too, because I feel like if you operate in this world, um, like for me personally, I've had to kind of curate my social media to where I only see certain things, and most of it has nothing to do with sports.
mhm.
Because it is such a kind of hostile environment, there are a couple of things that I follow that fairly benign.
Yeah.
Um, but to eliminate any kind of like just nastiness or stress or whatever, like I don't want to see you attacking our team. I don't want to see I don't need to see any of that. And in the role that Darius plays, I'm sure you don't really care to read any negativity there. I think, we kind of live in this weird space where just sports social media is very hostile and gross. Like, why would you want to participate
The
at
crazy thing is
all?
I follow rap for basketball on my thing and I like their posts and all that.
Yeah.
And so like I even follow West Virginia. I follow a lot of people. I mean, I got the athletic app and all of that. I just don't like get into the comments and like I think when Darius first started, I used to get on Blue and Gold board like at West Virginia because I just thought it was funny. Like it was pure entertainment to me. Because I'm like, these people, like, I can't believe West Virginia, like they love West Virginia. You know what I mean? Like it was a different type of culture I hadn't seen. I was like, this is kind of like culty. I was like, Darius, look what they're saying about this. Like
That's
um,
funny.
yeah, just for like pure, like, oh my gosh, let me tell you type of thing. But like the mean stuff or the evil, and like also my husband got in trouble here at Rapper, and like I was never like keen to be like, well, what's the pulse? What
Yeah.
are they saying here? Like, what do they think? I was like, I don't, it doesn't, I don't really care. I
Well, and I
mean,
think that's an important point too when you're in this business. As long as you know who you are, what the truth is, does it really matter what anybody's saying?
yeah, I mean, it's none of my business. What people say about me is
No.
none of my business. I mean,
No. You know who
and
you
I'm
are.
not going to try to prove them right or wrong. And to
Yeah.
be honest, I've seen some things people say, and sometimes I agree. We did look like crap. Did I like it? No. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying
Yeah.
the obvious. I was there.
Yeah.
It was painful for you to watch. It was painful for Darius to watch. He had
Yeah.
front row tickets.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting because I think a lot of the times you'll see, in this program or that program that there are spouses who cannot handle the social media attention and the social media negativity and the social media attacks, and it can get ugly, and it turns into these fights, and it was never something. Yeah, it was for I guess for me personally, never anything I wanted to be a part of, look at, engage in. Like, you don't want to watch people attacking your team. And I don't like watching people fight on the internet. in
Right. Yeah,
general.
I mean, I feel like the biggest thing that like I've had to make sure that I put up boundaries are with parents because
Yeah.
sometimes you get close to a parent or you like their kid and this and then like
Yeah.
we've had a couple of kids transfer and like it kind of went south and then you're like in this weird kind of position like they were so cool I like them
Yeah.
and maybe went and had a drink with them or like with me I plan trips they're like oh I'm gonna book a trip and then it's kind of like don't say anything to them this they're like they've gone nut so you're kind of like
Yeah.
oh or I mean, parents might think, obviously you're a parent, you understand. You want
Yeah.
the best for your kid, you're looking out for your kid. My husband's looking out for the team, not just your kid.
Sure.
So it's a different perspective. So then, you have parents that, oh, well, this coach is doing this or that. And so, like, it's not that I'm trying to argue with them or point, but I'm trying to give them a different frame of reference of like, I understand where you're coming from. I'm not a parent,
Yeah.
but I can only imagine because I'm like, no, my son should be da 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 da. But also, like, you have to reframe it because from the other side, this is what they're thinking. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
Like,
You
it's
guys are
not just
coming at it
about
from different perspectives.
correct. It's
Right.
not just about Teddy. It's about everybody else and Teddy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, the coach has to do what's best for the
Mhm.
team and put people in the right seats, and it's already hard enough. So,
Mhm.
like, we need more support for our coaches versus like oh, they are just hating on you, they don't want you, or you need to transfer, like all the things you hear that parents say. I always give people the benefit of the doubt because
Yeah.
again, you're talking about people's children. And so even if they don't mean harm, it's just because they're like they want the best for their child. But
Right.
that's not always right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it becomes interpersonal relationships become complicated, especially in these situations. Um, okay, so number 7, a plan is essential. Success doesn't happen by accident. When the opportunity comes, you have to be ready.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that.
Right. Timing in college athletics and timing in business. So creating it, launching it, um, timing does become essential. And I think from the coaching perspective, that requires a lot more patience than maybe creating the business because there's so much that's out of your control in that sense. So touch on that just a tad.
So for me, I think it's less about timing and more about what you can control. So for instance, I always said my husband was a head coach before he got the title.
Mhm.
And I say that is because he was putting himself in position. So like it goes back from, oh, I'm learning from Josh about what videos. Like you didn't necessarily have to as a GA. He was a former player. He could have BS this time there and went about his business, but like he was trying to learn. He's trying to grow. On top of that, what Darius is very good at, which I feel like I'm good at as well, is building relationships,
Mhm.
planting seeds. So he's gonna go to the coaching clinic, and he's not just there to learn your 131, but he's probably gonna talk to everybody in that room. You probably won't even know because he's so quiet. Like you're gonna know. They're like, Courtnie is working this room. Darius is like on the low key working it. You don't know. He's very strategic and he's very disciplined. So mine, I'm kind of out here. He's out here playing chess, poker face and all. So Darius talks to people. He stays in contact with people,
Right.
even when he leaves. He's trying to add value. On top of that, to me, that's a part of his plan. He's not gonna be like, oh, I'm working this person because I know down the line, but adding value, like he's going in, he's like, I'm gonna learn film, I'm gonna learn offense, I'm gonna learn. He wears a shirt more than just a recruiter. Like a lot of times in this business, unfortunately, a lot of the black coaches, they're like, oh, they're good at getting players, but they can't lead their own program. So everything
Hmm.
the CEO and or the head coach would be able to do, my husband said, I'm gonna make sure I can do that. Bringing
Well,
in
and
players
what's interesting
is
too
one
is
thing.
that you do have to kind of know every single aspect of a program, including video, if you want to run a program, because there might be a situation where you are in a lower level school where the head coach is doing the film, right?
Right.
They don't have the resources that some of the larger programs have to where you have a video guy. Like you are everything in that program.
We got one, but I feel like he still watches a lot. I'm like, we got a video person.
Because they're control freaks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
So
and I
like, I
wasn't even
feel like
specifically talking
prepared.
about your program, but just
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
general. Yeah.
I just think that preparation, he's prepared. So it goes back to another person in the business, that Dusty May, who coached with Darius at Florida, who's now at Michigan at Florida
Yeah.
Atlantic. Everybody thought he was over now. Oh my gosh, he just won Final Four. Dusty was the oldest person on our staff. And people are like, that doesn't mean anything because he's only 40 something. But what I'm saying there is like, he was at Louisiana Tech before Coach White even got the Louisiana Tech job. He had been, like, he had been to USC, like, he had been in the business long before he even got with Mike White. And then once he got to Mike White at Florida and then got to FAU, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people don't even see all the points. But like, one thing he does meticulously is he watches every game you could ever imagine. It could be in China. He watches ball, like, it's preparation, it's consistency. And so I believe that if you want to be successful in business, with coaching in life, you still have a plan. That doesn't mean that like you have to follow it to a T, and there's ups, ebbs and flows, and their life plans. You don't have to be like, at 30 I'm getting married, at 35 I'm having 2.5 kids, at 36 we're gonna do that. Like, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, if you were able to get the opportunity, it's kind of like Josh. When the opportunity comes to be a head coach, are they gonna call his name? Has he put himself in the position to take over, to lead? Is he ready for it? Can he speak to them? Can he get on press shows? The good thing is Mike White was allowed Darius to talk on the radio shows. It wasn't just him hogging up like, oh, the head coach. He's like, no, Darius can do this. Da, 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 da. So like, there's a lot of things that you're doing essentially to I guess better help you succeed, put you in a better position. That doesn't mean that it'll come through. Again, I told you, hard work still might not. But my thing is, if it does come up and your paths do align and the right opportunity does come along, are you prepared?
Absolutely. And I think it's also important to, oftentimes people think that, your path along the way, like you're taking bits and pieces from every position that you work in and every coach that you work under. And you're kind of forming, I think there's this expectation that, when you do become a head coach, you're going to be just like the head coaches you worked under, right? No, you're taking bits and pieces that align with you and how you see the game and or how you see the business. Like if you've worked under people in business, like I'm going to take the things that really resonate with me. But I'm different. I'm not anybody else, period.
Exactly.
Which is really interesting. I love some of these coaches that have, come up in the business kind of in our circles, and you see the little things that they've taken from everywhere they've been, and then they kind of become their own person. They have their own system, and it's their own kind of signature. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So just like you said, like the Dusty May path, like watching that progress, I'm sure it wasn't pretty for years and years and years, like the grind, because again, it's not super lucrative at the bottom. There are days you're just like, oh my God, what are we doing? All right, let's get to the bottom here. A solid support system is invaluable. Coaching is a family affair, much like running a business. You're only as strong as your support network, whether it's a cleaner, friends who make you laugh, grandparents who pitch in, or a mentor who keeps you on track. Teamwork truly makes the dream work. Shout out to my circle who keeps me grounded and motivated. Yeah. What does that look like for you?
I think that's why social media doesn't bother me. So again, we've never lived by family until Darius now got this head job back at home. And so even though they weren't around, they were still around us. You know what I mean? I could still hear my grandmother's voice, my dad, like his parents, like sending a scripture. His mom is big about sending scripture or a prayer or things like that, whether it is on Facebook or send you a text. Hey, I ain't heard your voice. Where you been at? Our people are good people. And I'll say that's the one thing that Darius, like, I've never been around people that are good. Like we look for good people first. He always says that even with his staff or his team, because all the other things you can teach, but like you can't teach good. You can't teach character. So for me, even though I don't have children, if I'm building a business, I don't have time to be washing Darius's clothes. I barely have time to be washing my clothes. So who can I find that can do that for us? That's what I'm saying. Part of the thing. I could clean my house, and yeah, some days I do, but to have someone on rotation every Wednesday that comes in there, next clean solution that just keeps everything great. So if someone pops over, they do, like
Right.
I build a team, even if they aren't family or friends.
Mhm.
It's from like I'm not going to the grocery store, so we use Blue Apron and it's delivered to our front door. Like I mean, theirs is like COVID probably was bad for Courtney because she's like, oh, now I'm going
Because
to
you
get these here,
streamlined everything.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Courtney, because he's like, she won't leave the house. Like if she's in town, she's sitting in that house. Like she don't leave the house. But the thing is, how much is an hour worth? Me trying to get mad at Darius because he didn't fold the clothes, and I feel like because I washed them, he should fold them. Why even argue? If we have the money to pay somebody that can come over and fold these clothes for an hour, what my time is worth more than what I'm going to pay somebody to fold these clothes or do the dishes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to find people that can help you. And maybe it has nothing to do with like your house team of cleaners or people that are going to do your because my husband is not going to put a picture on the wall. Okay, now we have his dad and he's like, you always talk about me, but when you need something, I'm like, if this chair I'm sitting in was put together by his dad, like things that are being put in touch is because I picked up the phone and called, because Darius is definitely not going to even try to do it. That's not his area of expertise. I
Yeah.
don't even want to get upset. I don't want us to get in an argument. So we have people that are going to help us because we can do that. And
Right,
so
right.
what that looks like, if you can afford it, is that a friend coming over helping you unpack? Because
Yeah.
I've moved 8 times in 16 years. Like you would think I have packing to the science, but like I had a packing party when we left Florida, and literally all my friends, they all got boxes. We were putting things together.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, like a solid support system. When
Mhm.
those days when things are happening that maybe I'm not reading the comments, but a friend's reading the comments, and you know what? They were like, Courtney, everything's gonna work out. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is okay. That person that I can call and talk to, and like, girl, I have not seen Darius in like 2 weeks. Da, 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 da. And
Mhm.
they're like, oh, girl, like that is what I'm saying by your support system. Now I see my husband has his brother on his staff, and we have a 4-year-old niece. My sister-in-law works as a physical therapist. If the grandparents didn't pitch in, I said, she lives over there, doesn't she? You know what I mean? Like, but like that support system of family, and we're like, oh, we know your kids they're safe, fed, warm. You don't have to worry about them. Like, who are your people? Who is your
Right.
tribe? Who makes you feel good? Who builds you up? Like I said, my husband pours into other people. Who's pouring into him?
Mhm.
Who can he call when he needs someone to, lift his spirits? So I believe that we have a great network of friends and family. And again, people that we met that can get the job done. Like, hey,
Right.
we want to make these lights. Who can do that? Oh, I mean, in Florida, Mr. Raul kept our plants alive, baby. I'm like, thank you, Mr. Raul. Matter of fact, when we moved, we gave Mr. Raul some of our plants because I'm like, Mr. Raul, you will do better than we are. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Frank, there's this guy, Frank. He used to, when we were out of town, because both me and we travel so much, he would make sure our trash, like in Florida, would be pulled back. It wouldn't still be on the curb. Pull our recyclables back. Put our
Yeah.
mail in the house. Like I remember, it was so crazy. When Darius took this job, I had been in Africa, so 2 days I had just gotten back, and Darius had been traveling because it's recruiting season. He gets this job, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they what are we gonna do? Because I'm like, we're getting ready to get on the private flight, and they're flying us down there. And then Frank was like, this was like, Courtney, I need a suit. And I was like, where's Frank? And then Frank's like, Courtney, it's already hung up in Darius' closet. I'm like, what? Because usually he doesn't like go in the closet, like he'll like lay in the closet. He's like, I just felt like I knew y'all needed stuff, like
Right.
job for Frank. I'm like, yes, Frank, I love you. I'm like, can we take you, can
Yeah.
we take you with us? And I mean, for a while there in Florida, Ebony used to help with meal prep and stuff like that. And like me and Darius was talking about here, the one thing we miss, I was like, Ebony, right? I was like, I know. We'll switch it. I said, but you know who I really miss? Erica. I was like, because I'm telling you, Erica can clean a house. Like we're just sitting here and I was like, okay, we're talking about gratitude. We're thankful, like your head comes, but like you take those things for granted and it frees up your time. You
Sure.
know,
Like I said, I feel like you've streamlined your life to create space,
yes.
um, and kind of like peace, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got peace now. Because you're right, it is chaotic, especially for both of you who have very intense, demanding jobs.
Mhm.
While yours, I mean, technically you're in control, but you're still a type A grinder. You're like, you're not going to stop. And then his, which again, we know the coaching world, they don't stop. Even when it's not season, it's recruiting season.
Like, can I get
Or
a schedule, sir? Like, can someone send me a calendar and then I'm following the calendar and they're like, oh no, we changed this. And I'm like,
yeah, no, you can't count on
yeah.
that at all.
Somebody tell me what practice is. Yeah.
Okay, so number 9 and the last one is bet on yourself. Um, so we kind of went through this a little bit about, stepping away from your steady paycheck and trusting your gut and taking a leap of faith and creating your business. I mean, similar in coaching, there's no guarantees.
Uh,
A lot of the times, you get in at the bottom, whether you're creating a business or you're trying to get into the coaching business. There are no guarantees that A, your business is going to be successful, or B, you're going to end up where you want in the coaching business. Um, so I guess how do you keep your head? I mean, is it just this constant like goal up here, like this is where I'm going to get and I'm not going to quit until I get there? Or what does that look like for you?
no, I think it goes back to me talking to God every day. Like, it's not really about me anymore. It's what He wants for me. And
Mhm.
so, I mean,
You've
when I
accepted
look
that?
back, I think I've like, I will tell you, since Darius has become a head coach, I think he's been working the inside out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say day and night. I still am Courtnie at my core, but like just overall, like it's the release. It's you just said it's
Yeah.
the peace. I asked my husband to pray for me. He's like, just to give you peace, like to not be a worrier, a controller type of like, I'm just gonna enjoy the journey. Like I'm literally blooming where planted. I'm gonna do, and then for however long, I'm not gonna have to worry about like, are we moving? Are we doing this? Figuring out like while I'm here, here's what I'm going to be able to do, and I
Yeah.
can commit to and stay focused, and staying fruitful and faithful over this. And I'm gonna detach from the outcome. Like it is what it. I have no control on theirs and his job. Um, Again, I can pray for him, I can hope and do all the things, but like at the end of the day, that will drive me nuts. And it was driving me nuts. And I didn't want to get to a point where I was resentful or I'm like, I hate this. I wish you would quit. You know what I mean? Like I had to step away from that and I had to trust that this is the path that, we're put on. And like, I'm here for a reason. And I'm probably closer than what I think. The desires for my life and Derek's life, or like our lives together and what we
Yeah.
see, is probably even greater than what I could have imagined. And so if I just lean into what is now, then I think it opens up more. You know what I mean? Like I think there was like this endless trying to get here, 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 and here, and like it just didn't make sense. Like it's all about the journey. Like my husband talks about the process a lot, and I don't necessarily like to say the process because who really likes the process? Let's be serious. Like, let's be
Right.
honest. Like, if I say I want this now. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like, and this is what I want it to look like, and this is where I want to live, and this is what I want to drive, and this is how much I want to make. Like all the things. But I think again, it goes back to like look how much we've already been given and the gratitude of like geez, if I don't if he doesn't do anything else and if this is where theirs ends like a effort, like how blessed are we?
And it kind of goes back to that idea of where you are right now is a place you probably once prayed for, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
taking the time to really accept that process, that okay, but I do still want to elevate, but accepting and feeling gratitude for the fact that you have made progress and you are in a place that you once prayed to be.
yeah.
So it's kind of
It's just hard though because you're like, yeah, I prayed that, but that was 2 years ago. Like, what about my new prayer, God?
now
You
I'm
know what I
praying
mean?
something
Like,
different.
what about now? I want this. Yeah, but it's literally like when I look at it, people always say, Courtnie, what's your definition of success? And I think success looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
But the reason why I consider myself successful is that my goal was to create the life I want to live, and I am living that. I've created something. I've created the life I wanted to live,
Hmm.
and what that looks like as far as like building a business that I love, that I enjoy, that is mine, that is separate from theirs, that like I can contribute to, but then also having the flexibility to be there for him and support and like be a part of the team and do the family and friends things and leaving and traveling and seeing the world. Like I mean, what else would I want to be doing? You
Yeah,
know,
no,
like
exactly. And I think it takes the mindset of like reminding yourself of that too, because again, there's still like the next thing and then the next thing and then the next
yeah,
thing. But recentering and coming back here and saying, all right, this is where I am right now. This is a place I once prayed for. I'm going to accept that this is it at the moment, and whatever comes next comes next.
mhm,
And kind of giving over that control. And I've said this, for the last what year and a half, 2 years, is that being in this position, being in the kind of the coaching world or the sports world, no matter the position, um, can and does bring you to your knees. There will be a point where it brings you to
yeah.
your knees. What was that for you? Like, what was the point for you where you decided to just give it over?
I literally think it's when Dez took a head job. I don't think it's necessarily like him being a head coach, like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more responsibilities. But also, you got to think, we moved to Radford. I'm not from Radford. Radford's a very small town. It's rural. I didn't grow up in a rural small town. So, like,
Right.
that's already like, oh my gosh, we
It was
got to
a
go. It's one thing
transition
to
for
be
you.
in Radford, but like, that's a transition. And again, we had just come from Florida. So I'm like, and it wasn't because it was University of Florida and all these things. It's more of like, I love the sun. There's no like, I feel like my energy is refilled. Like I'm an ocean, like grounded on feet on the sand type person. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just the atmosphere always being warm. I just felt like healthier and I got outside more. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it didn't have anything to do with being at the University of Florida. It's more of just where I was. And so then coming back to Radford, and then you got to think his family lives in Radford, and I love my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and we have a great relationship. Um, but you got to think like I'm not. We've never lived around family, and now you have his brother on staff, and I have my sister-in-law and my niece, and then everybody around here. Every time I could walk out my door right now, someone's like, "Oh, Courtney and Darius went to me in third. Somebody went with him in first grade, third grade, fifth grade, coached them, kept them, fed them, all the things. And like
Yeah.
you go to the store, you sit down at a restaurant, you can't sit down, people want to come and talk. Like, it's just like your bum rush. Like everybody knows you, even if you don't know them. And like they're so proud of him, and we're so glad he's back, and we want him to stay. And they talk about West Virginia, and I'm like, I thought we were in Virginia, and like it's just a lot to take in. And now that he's a head coach, um, there's a lot of demands on him, especially at small school, of like what he expected or what he thought, and kind of like what we were thinking, and that is not so much, and like the time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, is this what we signed up for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then again, my husband got in trouble, and so you're like, what's next? Like then it's something that
Right.
it's just like after COVID hit, which I know my husband didn't thrive in COVID as much as I did. I not that I enjoyed, but like I felt like I'm home, but I'm like, you're home, babe. Like this is it, and we didn't argue anything, and I'm just like, this is so great. Like la la land. We're riding bikes in Florida because people in Florida didn't think anything anyway. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this is just special time for me and you, and we're riding around, and we're doing all the things. But like coming here in 2021, it's just been something after the other, from with him or the job, or like my grandma, who I was really close with, grand, she passed away last year. So I just feel like the last few years, like 2022, 23, 20, like 20, they've like been hard years overall, like
Right.
personally. Not
Sure.
necessarily just about Darius or coaching or the job, but just like since we've
That was
got
just kind
here,
of an added stress.
yeah, it's just like a lot of things have transpired since
Yeah.
moving to Radford that I've had to just be like, what else? You know what
Like,
I mean?
yeah, it
Please
brings
don't
you
give
to
me
your
anything
knees.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like at my like, and I'm that strong friend too that is always there for someone else. So I'm like,
You're going to
hey,
take on everybody else's pain
yeah, I'm
also.
about at my full.
Yeah.
Like I can't really do anymore. I was like, hey, like let me pause and let me step back. So I think like that probably is a big. It's not just one thing. I think it was like multiple things.
Sure. And
All
I
that.
think that's something that people don't really see, especially for us kind of behind the scenes, um, is that, you know, you're trying to be strong and solid for him. You have also taken on this new role, which requires kind of another layer of stress, all your own feelings about certain things. What do you do to kind of take care of yourself, your emotional health, your physical health, all of that, so that it doesn't kind of chew you up and spit you out?
So I'm a self-care queen. On Fridays, you can even look on my calendar and it's gonna say self-care day. I don't take client calls. I don't do anything. Like, got my little nail. I get my
So is
nails
that, I think
done.
I probably messaged you on a Friday.
Oh yeah, I'm like
Because I think I
nails
saw it at the
done.
bottom. I was like, I don't expect to hear from her until Monday.
Oh
So
yeah. So I'm like nails done, hair done. I'm a spa girl. I look, even though like travel's my business, I will hop a plane and travel. And just like, sometimes it drains people, but me, it's like I get my energy. Again, listening to music. Again, a good sermon from Pastor Mike Jr. like will get me right. Like I'll listen to yeah, a sermon, read a scripture, listen to music, nice travel, but just like self care, insulate my. Oh, I go to this brunch place in Roanoke called Bloom, and I'm just like, yes, have me a little mimosa, like
all by
like
yourself?
I know
Do you
things.
go with a friend or do you go
Oh, by
alone?
myself, baby, I don't even me and myself. I'm telling you, when you can have a relationship with yourself, you can be the best friend in the world.
Yeah.
Because once you love yourself and you can have a relationship and you can be fine with being with yourself, you're a better partner, you're a better friend, you're a better daughter, and all that.
Yeah.
I feel like me taking care of me, I can be better for everyone else.
Sure.
And
You have mentioned
sometimes
that too. I've read some things that you've posted over the years about traveling alone and the benefits of
yeah,
traveling alone. Um,
trust
I
yourself.
have never, but I don't think that I don't think that it would be something I would struggle with.
I
I
think
don't mind being
everybody
by
should.
myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not even an only child. I have a younger brother and I have a million kids.
Yeah. I
maybe
think
that,
you would love
maybe
it
that's
actually.
why I would want to be by myself.
Yeah, I mean, all my friends that are moms like, girl, as soon as you want to go ahead and take me and or I'll just disappear. They said I might not come back. I was like, well, we want you to come back.
Oh, I don't feel like that. I
Yeah,
love my kids.
yeah.
They are
I
actually
mean,
really
they
fun
love them
human
too, but
beings.
I was like, well, we need you to come back. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should take a solo trip
Yeah.
at least once in their life experience. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so I highlighted this paragraph here at the end. Um, that I really loved. It said, so as I've learned from both the court and the business world, the journey to success is rarely straightforward, and the work behind the scenes often goes unseen. But every step forward is progress, every risk brings new possibilities, and each small victory adds up. So wherever you are in your journey, remember to keep showing up, stay resilient, and bet on yourself. Success may not come overnight, but you're building something real and you're closer than you think. That's
Mm-hmm.
an amazing reminder. It's an amazing reminder for um, the people in the coaching business, whether you're a player, coach, support staff, doesn't matter, or creating your own business, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Um, so again, I loved this article. I thought, the points were on point. um, and I've really loved, like I said, I've really loved watching what you've done over the last few years, from sitting in my townhouse living room with my naked toddler to where you are now.
Loved it. Yeah.
So I continue to enjoy watching you. And yeah, I mean, any last thoughts, any points of wisdom that maybe we missed?
No, I think you
Mm.
covered it all. I'm like, unless there were questions that weren't from the article that you were like, well, Courtney, why have you? We should ask
Why
you this,
have
but
you?
yeah.
There was actually no, there was, and I brought this up off air because I wasn't sure if you want to talk about it or not, because it's kind of like one of these weird subjects.
Mm-hmm.
But you wrote, ambitious people like Darius and myself face that constant tug of war. Maybe that's why we're so invested in our careers, choosing to forego the traditional children and white picket fence.
Yeah.
Is this a choice, like, to not have children, something that you guys talked about earlier on, or what, or did it come about like after you were both kind of in your careers, like, man, this is not for us?
I think it's a recent conversation. So this is the thing
Recent.
that
Okay.
people might not know. I've been with Darius since 2008.
Yeah.
So you got to think it's 2024. So when we started dating, we got engaged, and even when we were married, we never said we weren't going to have kids. We
Yeah.
never said we were having kids, but we never said we weren't.
It was
But
just
what
kind of
we did,
like if maybe, maybe not.
yeah, we could have kids or not. And then we did discuss at one point that we were not having any more than two.
Okay.
And then maybe when I hit 30 or we got to Florida, we were both like one. And then I used to always joke with Darius, like, you know, we're having twins, right? And I named them March and Marley. You can ask him. He knows that. Because also in my family, there's twins, and they say it skips a generation.
Yeah.
And so all my cousins have kids. None of them have twins, but my one cousin, Kristen, she had a little girl first and a little boy and then twins. So she had to get pregnant 3 times. But I'm like, hey, I've done the research, babe. They say women that get pregnant later in life. I said, you know, that's me. And they said that tall or obese. I'm tall, over 6 feet. Yeah. They said also African American women have a higher chance at
multiple births.
Multiples.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, oh shoot, I'm black. So I'm like, I'm black, I'm tall.
I'm black, tall, and have twins in my family.
And I was like, in my family, I have twins. Both my grandmother's sisters are twins and my grandfather's brothers are twins. So this whole time, like if you ask his father, like my grandmother before she passed, she's like, girl, y'all better hurry up and have these twins before something happens. And everybody knows, like, I want twins. Derek was not on it. He was like, no twins, no twins. I'm like, no twins, because then we'll have our 2 and we're only doing this one. Because then we make it like whatever comes out, cat, dog, green, blue, whatever. Yeah. One time we're in this thing. It's like LeBron. We're one and done, baby. I can one good push out. And so we were stuck. We were talking about the twins. And then I think it was maybe last year. We're like, well, you want to try? And then they're like, yeah. And then we're like, no. You know, we quickly went from yeah to no. And to then I was like, hey, it was this year because I'm like, I'm going to be 38 next week. And I was talking to Darius maybe a few months ago. And I was like, hey, babe. No, nothing's wrong with people that are having kids like in their 40s. Oh, can you?
Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, you froze for a bit.
So, okay, sorry. So I just want to preface this by saying there's nothing wrong with women having kids later in life. It's a new trend. People are doing it. But I told my husband, not just this year, but if I've hit 40 and we've had no kids, there will be nothing coming out of me after 40. So when, you know, I'll turn 38, next week. We were talking a few months ago, and I was like, babe, so where are you at with the kid thing? Because, you know, like, I'm getting old, you know, like older. I'm not old, but like for childbirthing, like, and I understand what we're doing, but like, I already knew I didn't want to be 40. And, you know, they say it takes time. For some reason, I feel like they say it takes time, but as soon as we were going to try it, everybody said it takes time. They're like, oh, 2 months. And I'm like, I thought it was going to take time.
That happened to us. No, that happened to us. That's why Brendan's here.
Yeah, that's why I said just our luck. We'll try, and because we're older, it's gonna take time, but it comes right quick. So I was like, I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't really know what they're saying. We're older and all that. And I was like, okay, so if I'm gonna be 38, so that really means that like if we start trying, like I'm gonna be 40 here soon. So only a year, you know, like we're going, and then we're kind of like, no. And he was like, no. And then also he was honest. He was like, I don't want to sacrifice. Like, he don't want to sacrifice. And then this is the thing, because we have friends that are in the business, and his brother now has this 4-year, and we see, like, she don't really, she loves her dad, she'll go to her, but like, she doesn't really respond to him or Darius. You know, like, she's not used to them. Like, she is, doesn't have being around her, but like, see, kids are brutally honest, and they will hurt your feelings. And so Darius,
I know. I have one, my youngest.
Darius knows that, like, if his child's like, daddy's always at work. Like last year, our niece was like, what are you gonna get daddy and uncle? A work ornament. They're always at work. Daddy and uncle stay on their computer. You know, like, it's innocent, but that's what they see. And so for real, that hurts Darius's feelings. So like, if he had a child, like, all daddy does is work, or we don't see our daddy, or this, and that, like, that's a hard pill to swallow. It's not for me, because I'm like, that's your choice. But like, also, you got to think, most of the kids are with the mom. So like, his dad is like his hero. I always joke and say, like, his dad has like a little voodoo doll that sticks pins in him. Like, because like, he is so attached to his dad. So like, he did not grow up with an absent father, or a father that worked and didn't spend time. Like, it's really more of his mom went back to school and went to work as a nurse. So like, he grew, his daddy and
was around the most.
So like, I don't think he can fathom how to manage, because he's already not good with work-life balance, and I don't think he can fathom or imagine like adding kids in the mix and him not being fully. So
he would have to like split his time, like, you know, like in his mind, it would be, I can't
Correct.
turn this off and I can't turn this off, and that's going to create.
Because the way he wants to do it and the
Hmm.
way he feels like it should be done would mean that his career would have to sacrifice.
Hmm.
And he doesn't want to sacrifice career. So he knows the kid would sacrifice. And so for him, that's not good enough. And I
Sure.
understand it. And thank you for sharing. That's a human aspect because some people are scared to say that or to admit that.
Sure.
Some people don't want to say, I'd rather have a career than kids because in our society, that looks bad. There's a whole little trend with the childless cat lady. Like people with no kids, there's a stigma like either one, they can't have them, or why would they not want to have kids? And kids
Hmm.
are a blessing from God. But like also, I believe that like we're all human, and in our minds and all the work and everything we've created, there's a reason why that it just doesn't make sense. Like again, to this day, when I say it's not going to happen, well, I could tell you like, hey, I've done this, and it says 5 years, and so by that time I'll be 40, 30. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can always pick stuff out, and always nothing's permanent. But like, I don't think we're having kids, so it's one of those things that like, if someone asked me today, kids are not in our future. You can never say never. He could wake up next week, or I could wake up next year and say, you know what, babe, I really want to have kids, and we decide to. But right now, they're not in our life plan.
Right.
We're not planning for children. We're not saving for children. We're not discussing children in our future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is an interesting topic within this business because it is something I think most coaches who are fathers struggle with, kind of that work-life balance when you do have kids. Um, you said your niece doesn't really respond to like Darius or Darius's brother as much as like, so I had the opposite problem. My kids were obsessed with Josh over me because he wasn't around as much. So like when he was home, like I mean,
She's like that too.
we would take them up to, the facility, and to this day, like Teddy, especially, who's 7, it's the same for him. Like he likes being around daddy's work. He likes, he wants to know, he tracks dad. Dad's always at his office, never moves.
Right.
It's really interesting, but I know that struggle because like we have a high schooler who plays twice a week, 2 games, or no, 4 games twice a week typically. Um and he misses probably more than half.
Yeah.
So this
I
time of
think that's
year.
the biggest
So
thing.
if he
Yeah.
played a different sport when, it's not in season, then that might look differently, but yeah, I mean, I think every coach who is a father, or if you're a mother and a coach, it's going to be the same thing, or a mother and a business owner. I mean, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
It's not unreasonable for me to say, yeah, that's probably something that you guys would talk more deeply about than maybe me.
Right. Yeah. So I
So,
think just make it, for me, I'm like, you can always make anything work if you want to, but to be honest and saying this is something that you're not, like you would be sacrificed. Like, hey, I'm
yeah.
not gonna do this. Like that's an
Or
honest
people who
conversation.
say, "Man, I'd be really bad at that."
Yeah.
So I'm
I
not
don't.
going to do
And the
this.
thing is, he's never said he's bad at it. Matter of fact, I
Oh
told
no,
him the
I'm
other
not
day.
saying he did,
Oh,
but
oh yeah,
I
yeah. I think the other day, like 3 people in the last month is like, Courtney, you'd be a great mom, and I just think that's fun. Like, because this is the thing. Maybe I'm conceited, but I think I'm great at anything I do. So, like, to be honest,
you're
like,
like, yeah.
I'm good at anything that I put my mind to. Like, I've
Yeah.
been told that since I was a young age. Like, Courtney, my teacher always said, like, if she wants to do something, she's gonna excel. Like, I'm stubborn, I'm a little disruptive, like rebellious, but like, if I put my mind to it, I can do it. So, of course, I'd be a good mom. Like,
Yeah.
I have all the characteristics of a good mom. Darius would be a great dad, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean just because I know how to bake a cake, but I'm not gonna open up a
Open a
bakery tomorrow.
bakery.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. Like, does it make sense? And because he's telling me, hey, Courtney, I'm not gonna sacrifice this, basically what he's saying, then that means it's on you. And so that means now my business when I'm traveling all that, like I know I'm gonna be the person that has to stay home and cook and clean and take you here and
Mhm.
do all that. Cause he's already saying, we can do this, but like, I can just fit in when I can fit in, but I can't, and so for me, I'm like, oh no, this is a partnership, baby. If I'm
Mhm.
up, you up.
Right.
If they sick, you sick. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be like, hey, you go on to school, get in the car with your dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
in the
Yeah.
pickup line, I'm in the pickup line. We're doing this thing. We're tag teaming this thing. So if you can't tag team it with me, then I'm like, maybe this thing isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this isn't conducive because also luckily Darius is parents live here, so my brother-in-law and sister-in-law have somebody, but you got to think,
Sure.
what if we didn't live by family? Who's going to help us then?
Right. Yeah, that was, I mean, that's been our entire married life with children.
Yeah,
We've been at least 1,000 to 2,000 miles from our
yeah.
family each time. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely complicated. I'll say that it's definitely complicated. But similarly, like you said, you kind of, I guess for us, you see, all right, this is a situation that we're working with. Our family life probably looks different than other people's family lives, and you somehow
Make it work.
make it make it make it the best that you can. Like holidays look different because again, you don't know where they're going to be, where you're going to be. So like our holidays with our kids look different than like what my holidays looked like growing up with, we were around grandparents and cousins and whatever. Um, Rarely do my kids see their cousins. So again, it's all these things that you weigh. Um, and we all come at it from like a different angle, I think, but having that honest conversation, I think, is important. I mean, you wrote that down there and it was like, it's never something that I've put too much thought into. And so I thought I would bring it up to see what it is that um kind of you meant by it and where you
Yeah,
guys
I
are.
just feel like society puts this like you get married, you have kids, and then you get the house and then the
Mhm.
dog. And so it doesn't have to be like that. It can be whatever you make it. Like me and him are a family. We don't
Yeah.
have to add anything else to that. Matter of fact, you saw our family at one point. We had a dog Zoe, and then you
I
guys
was
ended up.
just getting ready to ask
Yeah,
about
so like,
Zoe.
I mean, he passed away. He had cancer after 10 years, but
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. Like we've created our family, and
Sure.
so that
Sure.
can look any way you want it to look, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. We create our own traditions. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the ones we grew up with. So
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Courtney, thank you. Like I said, I'm so glad I came across this article and that you could kind of contribute to this long stream of interviews that I plan to do with people in this weird coaching world. I don't even know. There's not even a word for it really. But I appreciate your time and I really look forward to seeing, what you do moving forward, how you kind of shift and tweak and change and adapt, you know. Adapt, I think, is the best word for both what you do and what our husbands do.
thank you, thank you. I enjoy.
Yeah. All right, Courtney. Well, thank you again.